and others don't, no matter how hard you try and make it work for you? Well, we're going to look at that question using the life codes and give you some insight into why some of these things or some situations will work out better than others, and how they seem to more naturally flow when you're faced with certain situations and grind to a halt in others. So if you don't yet know your life code number, then use the life code calculator in order to work that out. Now, what we have here is the tree of life. Okay, this is an ancient format of looking at how life works, how the universe operates as an energy system. Now, you might think, oh, that sounds all a load of hocus pocus, but in actual fact, this frame of reference, this grid of life, actually is behind many things that we now in modern life take for granted. So how am I using it in terms of the life codes? Well, the life codes are combining numerology with the tree of life to give a really quite clear modern dynamic to how these things work. So the tree isn't something that you necessarily immediately absorb or information wise, so I use it in a way to try and make it as easy and simple as possible. Okay, so why do some things work out and others don't, no matter how hard you try to make it? Well, depending on your particular life code, you will be either what's called, or what I'm going to call in this instance, a go fast or a go slow through life. If you are on this side, so if your life code number comes out as a 3, a 5 or an 8, you are actually in the go slow side. So how does this work? Well, this works along the lines of any decisions that you make, and especially around relationships, they are a pause before action. Okay, so anything that you found yourself going into at a fast pace, no time to pause or reflect, or it's been a whirlwind situation or very sudden, then you are going to find, or don't be too surprised, if it then comes into a position of difficulty, if all the promises that were made don't necessarily work out to be true or work out in the way that you had expected them to, or they had been promised you. Why? Because the 3, 5 and the 8 are this column here, as far as the tree of life is concerned. This is, and at varying degrees, so 3s will feel it slightly differently to 8s. 3s will like to do things more quickly than 8s will. So coming to this point of pause is a little bit more tricky for a 3 than it is for an 8, to give you that as an example. So what happens within this pausing in terms of the tree of life, it is that everything flows in life. Bearing in mind, this is the non-physical world, this is everyday world, this is how we experience our physical life. At some point or another, it flows through the 3. Now, the 3, in terms of representing the female energy, this is about life. Okay, so it's not only about females, but it's also about what is female, what is the female energy in terms of life source. Well, if you think about it, as far as human life is concerned, or any life is concerned, there is a holding period before we do actually come into the physical world. And what is that holding period? Well, it's the developmental period. So in our very early life, that is about our fetal development into a baby and then into that baby being born. Now, you can't force the pace of the development of life. So whether that is a human life or a plant life or a other animal life, there is a period of something developing and growing. Okay, so obviously in the human life, that cycle is 9 months. So when something is meant to pause, to grow, you cannot make it grow faster. So again, there is a certain time frame where we are developing. So as far as, when we came into life, there was a time frame in which we were developing. If we then try and disrupt that time frame, and we try and disrupt that time frame too much, we cannot sustain, we cannot survive. So this is similar to how it works in life. If you cannot allow something to develop, it cannot sustain, and it cannot sustain for long enough for it to be given any life to it. So for 3, 5s and 8s, it is really important for you to allow something to pass through a natural development stage. Okay, so a natural development stage for you to ascertain and work out. Now, there is a difference between pausing and procrastinating. Now, 3, 5s and 8s procrastinate when something that they've put too much expectation into or any energy into up front has gone wrong, and then it's created hurt. So therefore, then a 3, 5 or an 8 will stall and not make any decisions rather than risk making the wrong decision. So when it goes into procrastination phase, that is when you've lost sight of who you are, you've lost sight of your instinct, you've lost sight of feeling okay with your own judgments and working out your own ways of doing things. So for 3, 5s and 8s, it's a pause. Okay, so rather than go really slow, it's a pause. It's about allowing time for things to digest, to work things out. So if you like to work through relationships at a steady pace, you as a 3, 5 or an 8 are actually honouring who you are. Okay, you're honouring that's the way that you do things, and you will find, if you allow for that to happen, you will then find that those kind of relationships that are then still around you are the right ones that work for you, because somebody else is respecting how you operate. Now, when we switch to this side, which is a 2, a 4 or a 7, now this is the go fast column. Okay, so as far as the tree of life is concerned, we're looking at it from the 110 here as the whole self. Everything that is part of the non-manifest world, so everything that is vibration, everything that is energy, before it becomes something tangible that we understand, it passes, in terms of the rules of the tree of life, it passes through the 2. Okay, so the 110 is most certainly the non-manifest world. The 2, it's starting to take form. So you could say in your own life, these are your ideas before you then you allow them to become reality. And we don't all utilize all our ideas. We're more inclined to wait for something to digest and before we then actually choose out of those. So something might have been running around your head for a little while before it becomes something that you do in your world. So as that passes through to the 3, then that becomes a point of digestion and gestation before it becomes something that we make real in our lives. So as the 2, a 2, 4 or a 7, what works very well for you is, because the 2, 4 and the 7s it's a very intuitive energy. Okay, not to say that 3, 5s and 8s aren't, but this is a faster pace, intuitive process. So you don't always notice it because it's something that is correct right up front for you, whereas 3, 5s and 8s, it's something that kind of comes out. It comes out in a digested way. So quite often 3, 5s and 8s feel that their instinct, their intuition kind of comes in a dream state, rather than for a 2, 4 or 7, it's more of an instant feeling. But quite often you miss them because those instincts are quite fast and they're right up front, and you're busy kind of looking at other things that you can't feel it as its first instinct. So 2, 4s and 7s should make decisions really quite quickly and change their mind slowly. Okay, so how does that work in your life? Well, where you have taken too long to make decisions, you will find more likely as a 2, 4 or a 7 that you will then find that you've missed the boat, that you've missed the opportunity. 3, 5s and 8s, it doesn't really matter if they've taken time and then they've kind of maybe missed something that's passed by, because the next thing that comes will be something that is more in keeping with who they are. Whereas 2, 4s and 7s, if you ponder too long, procrastinate too long, that's when you absolutely miss those opportunities. So as far as relationships are concerned, it's important for you to go with your first instincts. Okay, so your first instincts very first instincts as to what you think are the pluses and minuses of an involvement with someone. Very early on, you will be right. Okay, whereas 3, 5s and 8s need to just digest what their thoughts are about something and look for validation within that, whereas 2, 4s and 7s will get it instantly, and instantly what works and what matches with them. So it doesn't work out for you in life when you take too long over something, because that is then a barrel load of missed opportunities. 3, 5s and 8s, what doesn't work out for you is rushing into something too quickly and then becoming hurt by that, and then reaching into this very slow place of procrastination. It's lethal for a 2, 4 or a 7 to procrastinate. You actually need that flow and that movement forward. Why? Because you are governed by a push in life. You're governed by let's push something out into life, let it take form, let it manifest, let it create. And this is how things work in generally. There are, you could say, well, this is a law of cause and effect. Well, I did this in the past and this is the effect now. Or you can sometimes feel that there's wheels churning that no one can control or stop or influence. And that's very much that push energy, which is the laws of the universe and the movement of things are already in motion. You can't stop those, so you may as well flow with them. 2, 4s and 7s, those are the people who exercise that flow, whereas the 3, 5s and the 8s are more of the moderators. So what does that mean if your number's in the middle? You think, well, I'm not either of those sides, I'm right in the middle. I'm a 110 or I'm a 6 or a 9. What does that mean? What does that mean for me? Do I take the middle ground? No, not necessarily. But quite often, as a 110, 6 or a 9, you feel a little confused in life, a little stunned, a bit sort of, whoa, what do I do? What do I do? So confusion overrides quite often anyone who's in the central column. Why? Because you can be pulled in either direction. You can be pulled towards waiting and you can be pulled towards action. So for a 110, 6 or a 9, it's important for you to know your own mind, because without knowing your own mind, that's where things go wrong for you, okay? That's why some things don't work out for you, because you're not clear on what your own mind is, so therefore you get easily swayed in someone else's direction. You'll either be pulled towards taking too long or pulled towards making decisions too quickly. You'll be pulled along into directions that don't suit you. And what actually suits you is either to take your time or either to take action, but it has to be from the position of your own mind. So knowing your own mind is very, very, very important for you, particularly as a 110, 6 or a 9. Why? Well, because of the other influences, but also because you, if you're a 6, you've got lots of things that you influence. If you're a 9, you also influence a lot because you exercise the unconscious. So a lot of what you do in life is a reflection of the unconscious world of those around you. So you do have a huge influence. And 110 are the born diplomats. They're having to juggle between what is practical and what you really want. You're having to do that and balance that out, not only in your own life, but in the dynamics and relationships around you. So it's very clearly important that you know what those are. Now, what does Darth mean within all this? Darth is the challenge, is the aspect that you catches you by surprise. Well, again, if you don't know your own mind, you don't know which direction is most suitable for you. And that's how you get caught in certain relationships that don't work out for you, because you get pulled in a direction of someone else's will. So, central column, it's very important for you to understand what your own mind is, or to seek, to look to find what your own mind is. And then you will find that you move towards relationships that work in a very even-keeled and not only practical but very kind manner for you. I hope you found this session helpful to you. Bye for now.